the press always wants administrations to admit they messed up. And of course, administrations don't want to admit that. On Afghanistan, and David, I'll stay with you. On Afghanistan, on inflation and the border, I don't think you can say the Biden administration was a success. Maybe not as big a failure in some of those areas as their critics say, but but can you explain in sort of the arc of the 4 years how they dealt with those things and whether not being honest about them was part of the reason Donald Trump won?
Yeah, I think immigration was an obvious failure. And Trump said the other day he believes that's the reason he won, even more so than the economy. And I think personnel has a lot to do with it. I think Mayorkas had a lot to do with it. I think people you put in cabinet positions and high level positions. I mean, the president can't have his eyes on everything, but in those early years, he should have had somebody in those early briefings saying the border is a problem. Like we need to do something about this. And they didn't act on it until much too late. And that was a failure. Afghanistan, I'm not a foreign policy analyst. I think a lot of people say it was the right decision, actually, but that it was implemented wrong. And I think there needed to be more explaining on that. That's a trickier one that I think is above my pay grade as a political reporter, to be honest. But immigration was the clearest failure of the administration, and I think there will be many pages of books just written about that issue and how it consumed him, and that they didn't nip it in the bud until much, much too late, and it took down his the vice president.
But
Michael.
Mark, a lot of administrations make mistakes and a lot of administrations mess up. The best ones acknowledge them and take responsibility, and they're usually rewarded for that. I mean, John Kennedy was, Ronald Reagan was.
But when has Trump admitted a mistake?
I'm not talking about Trump, but
Okay.
Look, I'll just want to answer some of your questions. I mean, Afghanistan, he campaigned on getting out of Afghanistan. It was Donald Trump's deal that we took and executed it. The problem was, and it is a complex story, and it's one that can't be told tonight, but there's lots of public reporting out there about what the previous administration had done to choke off the visas, the special visas, and create a backlog that made it very hard to get people out in time, combined with our intelligence that was, well, off, to say the least, as to where the Taliban was advancing. Should the president have delayed and delayed? Probably. I thought, I mean, I'm more of a hawk, so that's one thing I stayed away from, because I thought we should still be there in the first place. But he campaigned on getting out. So I believe he believes that it was a success in the end. Again, with inflation, all you have to do is acknowledge the problem. When you acknowledge the problem, you get a lot more credit for it. But there was a refusal, instead calling it Bidenomics and trying to own it. Well, come to the Lehigh Valley in Bethlehem and Allentown, Pennsylvania, where it went Obama, Trump, Biden, Trump. I mean, yeah. Bethlehem Steel, they blamed Reaganomics for bringing down Bethlehem Steel, which was a global icon of industry and manufacturing. To call something Biden, and first of all, Reaganomics was coined after Reagan left, and it was he was trolled by the media for it, or the media dubbed it. It wasn't them. And so I never understood branding something with a negative connotation when the economy was never completely settled in the first place.